Masechta Sanhedrin Daf Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. We're gonna we're starting from the top of the Yomid. Yesterday we learned about Ma'aser Sheni and Kisei Kodesh has to be buried. What was the case talking about? It says you want to say the Kavanah was Ma'aser Sheni that was in Yerushalayim. So, and then it became Nitcha, and then the city became Ayar and Adachas. In fact, the Shaila, we know it's upon the 10 things that if we already entered in Yerushalayim, it's no more considered as part of the city of Ayar and Adachas. It belongs to Yerushalayim. It has nothing to do with Ayar and Adachas. Rather, what do you want to say? That it was in the other cities of Eretz Yisrael, Chutz Yerushalayim. And then the ear became Ayar and Adachas, where the Ma'aser came from. So in such a case, you're going to say that it has to be buried. So l'cheira, why is it nas v'achila? I'm sorry. So over here, we can prove from here that it's not like Rav Chizda, who says that everyone is made. The Ma'aser Sheni that's found in the Givulim belongs to Mabin Gavayahu. So why would it be nas v'achila? So it's not the shlal of Ayar and Adachas, it's shlal shamayim. Only surely it is going to be considered as Mammon Adjib according to Chachamim, and the Chachamim were lenient not to burn it, just to bury it. Says you want to know it's Nishken Raya. You can't prove in the words of the Mishnah that it's not like Rav Chizda. Really, we could establish the Mishnah that it's Ayar and Adachas, that the Ma'aser Sheni is Ayar and Adachas, and it was brought up to Yerushalayim. Nevertheless, we're not going to say that the mechitzas were kailit and became mutal achila. Here it's talking about why couldn't you eat it? Because it became tamei. So the Gemara is, let him redeem it. This tamei to get Ma'aser Sheni, and buy new Ma'aser Sheni and eat it. Rabbi Lazar said that Ma'aser Sheni should eat more. You could even be paid it in Yerushalayim. So the Gemara over here is talking about that he already redeemed the Ma'aser Sheni buying. He already exchanged the payers of Ma'aser Sheni into money, and with the money he bought Ma'aser Sheni Yerushalayim, and then it became Tamei. So in such a case, it won't help to redeem it. That's what the Gemara is thinking now. It says you want to know? We'll live frike. He can still redeem it. The Tanan that we learned in the Mishnah, halakol bekas Ma'aser Sheni, somebody. Or if somebody redeemed, paid his Ma'aser Sheni chutz Yerushalayim, and he brought the money up to Yerushalayim, and he bought food, and the food became tamei, he's allowed to redeem it again and buy in exchange other foods. So why does our Mishnah say you have to bury it in the ground? After you want to shit Rabbi Yehuda Dama, it's like the shit Rabbi Yehuda that says you cover that if it was once redeemed in Chutz La'aretz and you bought food and you brought it up to Yerushalayim and then it became tamei, he says no. Then it's not so strong. The kedusha is not that strong to be teifes with the money of the pidyon a second time. So you can't eat it, you can't redeem it. Therefore, you have to bury it in the ground. In fact, you want a yachi. If our mission is talking about betpedis that were bought with kes Ma'aser Sheni b'Yerushalayim that became tamei, my area. Why is the Mishnah Dafka choose pedis Ma'aser of a year and a dachas? Why is it connected to Dafka Teir and Adachas? Afilu the Omanami. Even Stam Pedis, the din is so. If he bought a food b'Yerushalayim from the Kesser of Ma'aser Sheni and it became tamei, that food became tamei. There's no takana for it. Rather, you have to bury it. We're going to explain the words of the Mishnah that the Ma'aser Sheni was Torah that he brought up to Yerushalayim, and then the city became Ayar and Adachas. And so those are the payers from the city that it was Ayar and Adachas, and the payers became Asmana with the rest of the money. Therefore, he has to bury it. If you're going to Nafel Mechitzas, are you going to say the Mechitzas Kiletas? In Yerushalayim, it became a new entity, so we're saying the Mechitzas had fallen. Ukidarava, the Mechitzas of Yerushalayim. Ukidarava, Damarava, Mechitzas Lechel, the Araisa. Minat Torah, we are mitzvah to eat Ma'aser Sheni within the walls of Yerushalayim. That's Minat Torah. But Likleit the Rabbanan, this din of Ma'aser Sheni that entered into the Mechitzah, that was koilet and you cannot take it out and redeem it, so too, it's not the din of Ir Dachas is not chal if the city, if it comes from a city that was Ir Dachas. So this that we said that the din of Ir Dachas is not going to be chal is only with the Rabbanon. When would the Rabbanon geyser that the walls of Lechitzas make it into a new entity? Only if you have taka mechitzas, if you have the chemes ha'ir standing in its place. But when the walls had fallen, and then they weren't geyser, and they're not going to be koilet the peiris of Ma'aser Sheni and make it into a new entity. And the Bailam are allowed to take it out of Yerushalayim and redeem it. And if it's of a Ir Nadachas, then the Chayiv of Geniza is applicable. And therefore it says in the Mishnah that the Peiris of Ma'aser Sheni of Ir Nadachas has to be buried. We learned in the Mishnah Kisvei Kodesh Ganezu that the Kisvei Kodesh has to be buried. It says the Gemara Basnis now Mishnah about Kisvei Kodesh of Ir Nadachas has to be buried even when in the city there are Kisvei Kodesh. It doesn't get saved from the city that's being burned. Rather, you have to bury the Kisvei Kodesh and burn the rest of the money. This is the loik Rabbi Elazar. This doesn't follow Rabbi Elazar. The Tanya Rabbi Elazar Aimer Kol Year Sheish Ba Afilu Mezuzah Achas. Any city which has even one mezuzah, Ein Nas Le'ani Dachas. It doesn't become part of the year in Dachas. Shenema, meaning Ein Nas is the city. It's supposed to protect the city, and the city cannot become a year in Dachas. Shenema, why? Because by year in Dachas it says V'sarafta Be'ishas Ha'ir V'es Kol Shlola Kolel, that you have to burn all the mammon of the city, all the mammon of the city. And even where in the city there's a mezuzah, you cannot do so because it says like the destruction of the getchkes you should break, you should destroy, and you should get rid of their name from that place. But that you shouldn't do this to when it comes to Hashem. There's a Yisrael to destroy Kisvei Kodesh, which has Shem Shamayim on it, and therefore since you cannot burn the mezuzah because it has Kisvei Kodesh, and it's so if you can't burn the mezuzah because it has Hashem's name, and so therefore you can't fulfill the tzivah of the pasuk. And you can't have Eyan Dachas, and that's why we learned before, Taka, according to Rabbi Elazar, there was no such a thing as Eyan Dachas, because it's impossible. A Jewish city shouldn't have any Kisvei Kodesh or anything with the Askaris, with the names of Hashem. Reb Shimon Aimer, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we learned in the Mishnah, Reb Shimon says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'hisar Ter La'olam, Lo'isar Sekinas U'Padesim. It says that there should be hills, and you shouldn't make gardens and orchards. So when it comes to Ir Nedachas, we have a machlekes. Reb Shimon says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that even gardens and orchards shouldn't be made there. That's according to Rabbi Yisrael. Rabbi Akiva says, comes to tell you shouldn't build again buildings, but you can have gardens and orchards. Says Gemara Lema, should we say that Machlekes Rabbi Saglili, Rabbi Akiva is Rabbi Avin Amar Rabbi Eloi is like the words of Rabbi Amar Rabbi Eloi. That's what they're arguing about. Rabbi Avin Amar Rabbi Eloi. Rabbi Avin said in the name of Rabbi Eloi, Kol Makam Sha'atamoitze Klol. Wherever you find a klol which is going to be asay, but the prat is going to be a lois asay, ein don neisay bechlal uprat. There's a din, klal uprat, ein don elamasha befrat. When you have a klal, a generalization, and then you have a prat, then you go according to the prat. For instance, over here, we have the vahoisa tel elam. That's the beginning of that it should be a destruction. And then it says Leisibana, and you shouldn't build again. So Leisibana is going on binyan. So the klal is everything should be destroyed. And then it says that's referring to building a building. That's if you say klal prat ein the chal al mash befrat. But here we have a machlokes. Since when do we say it? According to Rabbi Yosi. I'm sorry, according to Rabbi Akiva, only when it's asay and asay, meaning the klal is asay and the prat is asay, or the klal is alois asay and the prat is alois asay. Over here you have the klal that v'hisatei leilam is asay, and you have the prat lois ibanoid, which is alois asay. So according to Rabbi Akiva, we don't learn. According to Rabbi Yosi, we don't say ein bechlal elamasha befrat. Since it's asay and alois asay, we're going to say we do. We won't, since asay lois asay according to Rabbi Yosi, so we don't. We're not following that rule, and the halach will be that everything is going to be asay, even ginus upadesim. But according to Rabbi Akiva, here we go. The Mar is Rabbi Yovan. Rabbi Yosi holds like Rabbi Yovan, the prat doesn't come to exclude the klal because the klal is asay and the prat is alois asay. So since you're not going to say elamash b'prat, so everything is going to be asay, even ginus upadesim. Uma less later Rabbi Yovan. Rabbi Akiva does not hold like Rabbi Yovan. Only he says that even when it's the klal is asay and the prat is alois asay, we say ein b'chlal elamash b'prat, and therefore only what the prat is only lois ibanaid. You shouldn't build, but you're allowed to make ginus upadesim. You're allowed to make gardens and orchards. That's what we assume the machlekes is in the words of Rabbi Yovan. Says you want to lie. It's not a hechah to say that that's machlekes. It's not in the sheet of Rabbi Yovan. The kuliyama is Rabbi Yovan. Everybody holds. If it's asay, if the klal is asay and the prat is alois asay, or the reverse, whatever, if they're not both asay or both alois asay, then we hold like Rabbi Yovan. We don't use the klal ein b'chlal elamash b'prat. So what are they arguing over here? Here they're arguing. Umar Sabra Rabbi Yosi holds that when it says lo yisibana and it says an extra word oid is legamri mashma. Rabbi Yosi learns that means completely that you're not allowed to build the city mikol v'kol, even anything that's used for people, like ginos, pardesim, gardens, and orchards. Marsa, Rabbi Akiva holds is an implication. The way it was before, a building that you cannot rebuild. But you can make gardens and orchards. The Gemara brings now the Baraisa Benegate Hilonis of a year Anidachas. How you buy if the Anidachas was Hilonis Tlushin, the cut trees are sunan. Then it's included in the Mamana year and it's forbidden to derive any. No, you have to burn it. But if it was connected to the ground, it's mutter. Because the Hilonis of Iran Anidachas is Osbana. Beinim hem tlush min akarka, beinim hem mechubarim. The karka, hareza osmana yachnim mamana yer. It's osmana. In fact, so it's taka osmana, but it's not going to be burnt. I'm sorry. By iranidachas, only what's going to be osmana. I'm sorry. Only by Iranidachas, only which trees are going to be osmana, those ilanes that are tlushin. But if it's ilanes which are connected to the ground, they're going to be mutter because it's missing. The Torah says it has to be only. You have to be able to gather it and throw it into the fire. But if it's mechuba, you're missing tlushin. So if you're missing tlushin, that's an additional thing that has to be done. So that's not part of Iranidachas, and it's going to be burnt, and therefore it's going to be mutter. But then the Gemara says, but if it was, but there's another city, Shaliach Acheres. But then you have a different type of a city that Bein Tlushin and Bein Mechubarim also. That side Tlushin, side Mechubarim is going to be Osmano. In fact, you want to my Yer Acheres. What is Yer Acheres? What are we referring to? I mean, Rav Chizda said Yericha. It's referring to the Yericha. And the Gemara explains, the Chsiv, Amar Rav Chisda, I say, my ir acheres, Amar Rav Chisda, Yerich is of the Chsiv that says, V'hoisa ha'ir chenem hi v'chol asher ba'a Hashem. So from the words, from this that it says, V'chol asher ba'a, anything that's in there that teaches, as V'chol asher ba'a Hashem, V'chol asher ba'a is coming to teach us, even the Ilon's Mechubarim, Lekarka is going to be Yosma Anah. Yimana explains an additional dim in the gate to the city of Yericha. It says, Yashma Yeshua Kesahi Lema. Yeshua swore at that time, saying, Ara Ish Lefnei Hashem Asher Yakum. Cursed is the person that will put up Uvana and build as Ha'ir Azesas Yericha, this city, Yericha, Biv Chayre Yizazdana. He will start off the foundation with the Bechayr dying, or with Tzira Yatz L'Asa. And with the youngest, once he puts up the doors, meaning when he finishes the building. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, in the conclusion of the Isa of Yeshua, is Shaloi Livnus Hasayir Yerichai Atzma. Don't build the Yerichai itself. Even if you're going to change the name of that city, which is Yerichai Al Shem Ir Acheres, on another name, it's still Asa. Ve'loi Ir Acheres, nor shall you build a city elsewhere and call it Al Shem Yerichai, on the name of Yerichai. The Chsiv, like it says in the Pasuk, Yama Bana Yechiel Beis Ha'eli Es Yerichai Ba'aviram Bechayri Yizdo of his Gov Tzirei Itzla Sahab. It says that in his days, Chiel had Beis Ha'eli built Yerichai. His Bechayri Aviram died at the foundation, and Skuf, his youngest son, died when they put up the doors when they finished. This was the curse was Kedvar Hashem, that Hashem had spoken to Yeshua. And then we're talking about in the days of Achav. So the Gemara, Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Ka'avinam b'chayri Rasha. Ba'avinam b'chayri Rasha, when Avinam, his first b'chayr Rasha of Yechiel, Loi hayalei lilmed. The father didn't have to learn from that a lesson not to build Yerichai, because he could have said it. Because he could have been tailored another. It's just a natural thing that happened. But by his guf seirei Rasha, but by his guf, his youngest, there he was at fault. When his guf died at the finishing of the building of Yericha, Chil should have learned why he got punished. So the Gemara is asking, what is this? Aviram was guf, my Ovid. What did they do? What did they say that they should be, that they're called b'shem Rishayim? And the Gemara hakama, Aviram chayre lo haya lilmed lo yisei Rasha. It means not that Aviram was the Rasha. Aviram, his firstborn, Chiel, the Rasha, wasn't guilty at that time to know and learn that it's that you're not allowed to do it, because and he was being killed because of the curse of Yeshua. But that should have been a sign for that Rasha. Meaning, before Aviram died, his Bechayr died, Chil Rasha didn't have to learn that he's going to get punished because of the curse of Yeshua. But after his Bechayr died, he should have known that his youngest one his younger child is going to die if he's not going to stop building. It says from this that it says Aviram was Bechayr. Any Yadei says Guf. Don't I know that Guf was the younger one? What does he come to say? Guf the younger one. And it comes to teach us that he had many children, and he means me Aviram Guf. As he was building from Aviram till Zguf, they all died. It doesn't mean there was only Aviram was Zguf and his Zguf was younger. It means Zguf was the youngest, from the oldest to the youngest. All of them died. There was in between as well. Achav, the king of Yisrael, was a friend of Chil Beis Ha'eli. Oseihu ve'Eliyahu leMisha b'Shlema be'Tamyon. Achav, who was a friend of Chil, came together with Eliyahu to be Menachem Abel. Chiel Yosef Kama. Achav sat down and said, Dilma Kimelech Yeshua Hachilot. Maybe because of Yeshua's curse, that's why, for building Yericha, that's why Achil was punished. He shouldn't have built it. Loi Yericha al Shem Yeracheres. And not the city of Yericha, even if you call him on another name, you're going to still be cursed. Veloi Yeracheres al Shem Yericha. And even the building another city, but with the name of Yericha, he's also going to be killed. And therefore, Chil got killed, even though he didn't build Yericha itself. He built a different city, but he called that other city Yericha. That's why he was killed. Amalei Eliyahu said to Achav, yes. Amalei, so Achav said to Eliyahu, Hashta levotz ma'isha, le'kamekayim amadach Moshe Rabbeinu, who was the Rebbe of Yeshua, and cursed. He says, anybody that serves idol worship won't be rain. Tell him, I placed all kinds of Avodah Zaras on every little hill. And he says there was so much rain that I couldn't bow to these Avodah Zaras, because it was all muddy from so much rain. So you see that the klala of Moshe wasn't fulfilled. If so, the Yeshua Talmid Mekaimai, the curse of Yeshua, who spoke about building Yericha, that person will be killed. It will be a curse. If his rabbis wasn't a curse, his won't be either. Immediately, Eliyahu Tishbi from the dwellers of Gilad said to Achav, Chai Hashem, he swears, Elokei Yisrael, Asher Amad Lefano, God of Israel, which I stand before him, Im Yiyah Hashanim Ha'ila Talomata, that there won't be any rain, only Ki'im Lefit Vari, only according to my words. Bo'irach me Eliyahu Navi begged Rachmim Mishamayim, Havalei Aklida Demitra, and David gave him the key to rain. Bekam Azlan, he left, and there was no rain. He started by Nachal Kris. The Eibishter told him, the words of Hashem was to Eliyahu, go from here, go east, and hide by the Nachal Kris, which is at the face of the Yarden. And after he sat by Nachal Kris, it says, the ravens brought him meat, bread and meat in the evening, and also and in the morning. Babaika, they brought him in the morning, and they brought him by Erev as well. Meicha, where did he bring it from? From the slaughterhouse, from the shachtim of Achal, from his place. It says afterwards, it was after many days that the river dried up. There was no rain. Since HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw there's a tremendous pain because of the hunger in the world, so the Eibishter wanted to bring down the rain. So the Eibishter made that Eliyahu should have to return this key of rain. There was the words of Hashem to Eliyahu saying, go to Tzofasa, which is by Tzida, and settle there. And I told the Isha, Almana, to provide for you food. And it was after these words that the son became ill and he died. So he begged by Hashem to give him the key of the Chis HaMesim. They told him there's 3 keys in B'dei Shamayim. Lo nimsu l'shliach. That to begin with, the Eibishter didn't give it to the shliach. No, it's in the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalchaya, giving birth, Shal Kshamim, rain, Shal Chis HaMesim, and the reviving of the dead. Yom the people will say, Shtayim, out of the 3 keys, B'yad HaTalmud is in his student Eliyahu. B'rakach is B'yad HaRav, only one is going to be in the hand of the Rav. You're going to have the key to the rain and the key to Chis HaMesim. I'm only going to have the key to Chaya. I see her. So David told him that cannot be. I'm the master. So bring back the key of the rain. Give me the key of the rain, and take this one, the key for Tchis HaMesim. The Chsiv, like it says in the Pasuk, that the words of Hashem to Eliyahu was, once he gave back the key, and the Eibishter decided he's giving rain, he told him, go show yourself to Acham, tell him, I'm going to give rain. And now it's not in the hands of Eliyahu. So the Eibishter was determined to give rain. So the Eibishter allowed Eliyahu to go to Achab and show himself and tell him there's going to be rain before the Eibishter gives it. There was one Talmud from Galil that dashed before Avchizda, Mashal Eliyahu, the Mashal of Eliyahu, that he had to return the key to Hashem. What is it compared to Legabra, the Taki Legabra? A person who closes the door and lost the key, so to Eliyahu, he closed the gates of the rain, and at the end he lost the key. Because he didn't open up the rain. Only Hashem opened it up. Eliyahu Hanavi, who was a friend of Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Kapton, who he said, Rabbi, you're a captain. You get angry right away because you got angry on Achav and you held back the rain from the heaven. Eliyahu was accustomed to coming to the base medrash of Rabbi Yossi every day, and because of his words, he cast him in because of his word that Rabbi Yossi, who was his Rebbe, was the Eliyahu's Rebbe, he told him, because he called him a captain, so he told him, because he called me a captain, I stayed away 3 days. Also, if the Eliyahu came back, I'm late. Rabbi Yossi said to Eliyahu, why haven't you come till now? I'm late. Mishum, the captain is late. You called me a captain. A person who gets angry. I'm late. Rabbi Yossi says, oh, the captain, the captain ma. So right now, this in itself shows that you get angry right away. The mere fact that you stayed away for 3 days. We learned in the Mishnah, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to leave it for the Siyum.